Morning, everyone, and welcome back to Namaste, Lake Chapala. We are in the midst of what I think is a beautiful discussion and experience of immortality. What is it to be immortal? Not to think about it, not to have the concept, but to be in the experience of the immortality that is already whole within you, already complete, not something you achieve, not something you do, something that you are. We heard a couple of days ago that you don't become immortal. It's an awareness of what you are and have always been, what you cannot stop being, an immortal being. And we're sort of dancing around this because this is not something we can enter into conceptually, but we can set the stage for the experience. And that's all we're really doing, is setting the stage for the experience of your immortality. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be an immortality specialist. Think about that for a moment. Wouldn't that be wonderful to have your specialty be immortality? To have that be your ministry as an immortality specialist? Well, that's something we're moving toward, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that. By the way, in case you're wondering, with all the sounds and me being outside, my room where I would usually do the session is getting some work. So everything has been pulled out. So I pulled the desk out, and we're going to sit inside the anchor hold. You can actually see the bottom part. Where I do my walking every day actually is right here. So I want to begin today. We're going to be, for the next 3 days, we're going to be talking about the 3 primary keys to experiencing your immortality. So we're going to be talking about the first today, and I want to begin by reading something that our dear Ravi here at Namaste sent out to everyone here in the community yesterday. It's a little short paragraph from Ajijic, and he put it on our message board, and I loved it so much. I want to begin by sharing this. So this is what Ravi sent out. Ajijic says, "At the moment of enlightenment, everything falls away. Everything. Suddenly the ground beneath you is gone, and you are gone. You are alone because you've realized that there is no other. You are alone because you realize there is no other. There is no separation. There's only you, only self, limitless, emptiness, pure consciousness. To the mind, the ego, this appears terrifying. When it looks at limitlessness and infinity, it sees meaninglessness and despair. Once again, to the ego, immortality will say, which is really the exact same thing we're talking about. He's using the word enlightenment, we'll use the word immortality. It appears terrifying. When the ego looks at this immortality, at limitlessness, at infinity, it sees meaninglessness and despair. However, the view changes to unending joy and wonder once the mind is let go of. Once the mind is let go of, this becomes the greatest wonder in the universe. When you are enlightened, you stand alone. You need no support of any kind because there is nothing to support. That's the key. There's nothing left to support. A separate you no longer exists. You realize that the whole ego experience was a flimsy illusion. You stand alone, but are never, never lonely, because everywhere you look, all you see is that. And you are that. I am that. The holy sacred name of God is my reality. And me experiencing this is my step into immortality. The experience of I am that. Not the thought, not the concept. Once again, we can set the stage just as you would set the stage of a play. But that doesn't make it real. It's the experience that we're seeking. So now that we have that, I want to talk about this first key to immortality, to you becoming an immortality specialist. And it's very simple. If you take someone like Adyashanti, for example, who wrote that beautiful paragraph, or you take any other what you would consider to be illumined, enlightened being, let's say whoever. None are even coming into my mind right now. But whoever it is that you would meet, and you would, in meeting them, be in this place of profound gratitude and honor, like I'm standing in the presence of an enlightened being. I just want you to think of maybe someone in your life that you might think that about. Let's say you met Adyashanti, or you met David Hoffmeister, or anyone else that you consider to be an enlightened being. And now I want you to feel the energy of awe, of like the gratitude of having the opportunity is just to be in front of this enlightened being. Feel that for a moment. And now, as you feel that, I want you to realize you're lost. You're lost. Whenever you choose someone to put in a special place as the enlightened one, as the realized one, the separate one, you are the one who is lost. Not them, but your perception of them, as opposed to, and this is the key, as opposed to, let's say, a homeless person on the street, or let's say your brother or sister standing right in front of you. Do you honor them in the exact same way? Do you feel the same awe for them, for your brother, for the homeless person, for the drug addict, for a political person that you don't agree with? Do you feel the same awe in their presence? Because if you do, if you can go there and experience that, then you have accomplished the first key to immortality. But see, we have a tendency to read something like that beautiful passage from Adyashanti, which is amazing. And once again, this has nothing to do with him. This has to do with my decision of how I'm choosing to see. I read that, and now if I go into this projection of specialness in saying, he's the one. I mean, he's so wise, he's enlightened, he's different from me. He's different from me. You know, I remember I was in a workshop, I was participating in a workshop with one of these so-called enlightened beings. And at the very end of this weekend that we shared, people were talking about their experience and what they got out of it. And there was a woman, an older woman, who in a very heartfelt way said to this person, she said, I'm just so filled with gratitude because now I know what it feels like to hug an enlightened being. And I'm thinking about this person that this was just said about, and I'm thinking, okay, give it to him. Give it to her, rather. You know, tell her all you need to do is wrap your arms around yourself to know what that means. Or find the person next to you, wrap your arms around that person, and you'll know what it feels like to hug an illumined, an enlightened, and awake being. But what this person said was, thank you. I was like, no, such a missed opportunity. Don't receive the specialness and proclaim, yeah, that's right. Now you know what it feels like to hug an enlightened being. Because this key is so important. You're not going to go anywhere until you realize this. That whenever you put someone up on a pedestal, whenever you make someone special, whenever you say, you're enlightened and I'm not, you've trapped yourself. Choose instead to look at everyone in that way. Choose to see everyone in that same light. Because when you do, you free yourself. And it's like you can't go anywhere if you're tied in chains. And so these keys are meant to find the locks that unlock those chains so that they fall to the ground. And this is the first one. Don't make anyone the special one unless you make everyone that. You see, that's what God does. And we're here only to imitate that. Do you think the divine, the beloved, God, whatever you want to call that, Allah, do you think that God looks at a particular person and says, oh, I honor this one much more than these others because they're enlightened? No. Of course not. We see everything as one, as the same, non dual. This is the key. And so, no matter, and the most beautiful thing is no matter what they say, no matter what they do, no matter what is happening, I choose this. So, on one hand, I hear Adyashanti share this beautiful paragraph on enlightenment, and I honor that. But in the exact same way, I honor that homeless drug addict on the street. This is the Christ, not in some metaphoric sense. And my willingness to see that is the first key to me experiencing immortality and becoming an immortality specialist. So, Victoria, I can't wait to hear what you're going to share about this because I'm sure it's going to be great.
Well, James, what I would say is when I want to hang around an enlightened being, I go find a kid somewhere because children are naturally, not always, but that whole idea of specialness hasn't interrupted their natural welcoming of everything. And when I'm with children, maybe that's why I've been around kids so much. It's like they're just naturally kind, naturally welcoming. There's no sense of hierarchy or anything else. And to me, that's a great reflection that I would want to keep in my heart. Because I was trying to think, okay, who would I think of as enlightened? I don't know. Then I thought maybe Yogananda, I don't know, somebody. But then what came to me is that innocence that has no attachments. How when you're with a kid that's free and happy and taken care of, not maybe a child that's hurt or sick, but many times children just have that exuberance of wonder and welcome about everything. And then what it made me realize is, well, what is mortality? Don't worry about what immortality is. To me, immortality is a byproduct of finding what is it that tethers me. That's what mortality is.
Exactly.
What tethers me? And what do I see in the brother before me as what my own tethering is? Will be some judgment. He's too whatever he is. He's too this, he's too that, he's not enough this, he's not enough that. That's my reflection of where I'm tethered, of where I'm mortal. So I guess either look at everything like it's a mirror or go find a kid somewhere and just hang out with the kid and take that reflection and let it be so easy to move into that open-hearted kindness.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd say this morning.
Well, thank you, Vicki. Yes. We're all going to have our own special access point. For me, it would be hanging out with the homeless. I love being with the homeless on the street and just loving them and giving to them and such gratitude. I experienced
Yeah.
that a great deal when we were on our St. Francis tour, Bill Free and I. And the other thing, though, you mentioned kids. Even 13-year-old girls can teach us this. And of course, I'm reminded of my own daughter when she was 13, and she taught me one of the greatest spiritual lessons of them all when she would just look at me and roll her eyes and say, whatever.
Right.
And one day it just hit me like, oh my God, that's right. Whatever. That's the key. Whoever, whatever, whenever. It's right now. It's right here in front of me. And we're going to hear that message even from the lips of a 13-year-old girl if we're willing to hear it. If we're willing to see it in whoever is in front of us this moment, this very moment, when we make that choice. That's why this is the first key. It unlocks that first little lock that is holding those chains together. Now they begin to sag. In the next 2 days, we're going to be looking at the next two keys. And you're going to see how they all fit so beautifully together. But I want to go to Teddy now and see if Ted has anything that he wants to share about that.
Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever we are. There's two things that you were talking about. See, for me, when I hear the way you're talking immortal, I always, in my mind, it translates to eternal.
Mm-hmm.
Because mortality is usually of the body, and that's the way people think of it, and eternality is of the true nature of our soul. But one of the things that Jesus does in the court, and I'm going to say this, once you experience yourself directly as a soul, the humility that is required to have had that experience allows you to understand that everyone is that, because that's all there really is. So there's not another way to look. I mean, we could relate to each other as if we're in the world, but the truth of the matter is that once that happens, you look at everybody and you know it doesn't matter what they're doing, what they are. They're the exact same as you are at the level where creation is occurring. And nothing in this world can change that. But Jesus does something really cool in the Course. He doesn't take away the idea of specialness. What he uses it to say is that we all have a special function in God's plan for salvation that only we can fulfill. So he doesn't relieve people of the idea that, you know, you have something special that you're going to do, meaning more in the terms of it being unique. You know, you have a unique function. I have a unique function. As a soul, we are and we will fulfill that function. And that's what makes us special in the plan. But it's not the same sort of specialness where you give some word that you're talking about, where because Adyashanti seems to have had an experience, we make him into something that we're not.
Yes.
That's the exact opposite of what occurs when you really know and experience yourself and your brother as a soul equal in creation of the same Father, of the same Creator. That is not taken away. That's just reinforced in the experience. And then you could look, then like you're saying, James, you could look at everybody as fulfilling the function. You know, the people on the street, the kids, everyone comes here in the exact same way for the exact same purpose. And like Jesus says, salvation is a collaborative venture, and everyone must fulfill their part, and all of our parts are special in that they're unique. So I like the idea of, you know, using special that way rather than making somebody special, like, oh, he's different because he's enlightened.
Right.
Enlightened, that moment is just a moment of realization of something. And it's on everybody is going to have that awareness at some point in time. However long it takes in time is sort of meaningless, because the end of time is the recognition that we all are that, and we've always been that, and no longer, there's nothing left to understand about time and about ourselves. So that's the best I can come up with.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you. And that really is the key. When we put someone out and say, you are that, but I am not, and neither are these other people, this is where we fall into the trap. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't honor and in gratitude, because if we have an elder brother or sister who are just simply a little higher on the ladder telling us about the view that they see, that's a beautiful thing. So it is certainly not saying anything against that. It's just saying that as soon as I say you are that and I am not, do you see what I did? I am not. What I've done is I've used the power and the energy of the name of God to manifest notness. A not, K-N-O-T as well.
Right.
I am not that. No, I am that. It doesn't matter what I see or what you're saying to me or how you're acting. My willingness to look at you no matter what, and to see only the Christ, the beloved, only the perfect holy creation of a divine mind, whatever, however you want to say that, to see only that. This is the key. Not to put someone up on a pedestal unless you put everybody up on that same pedestal. And if you can do that, then you've really got something going. So this, yeah, go ahead.
We always talk about it being functional rather than personality oriented or realization oriented. It basically comes down to we all have a function we must serve, and in that function is special to us, and yet everybody's function is special in totality of the realization of what salvation is and how it occurs.
Amen. Well, this is the first key. In the next couple of days, we're going to go through the other two. And whatever you want to call it, I kind of like the ring of immortality specialist. It just has a kind of a fun little ring to it. But you can call it whatever you want. So thank you so much, all of you.
Hey guys, here's something to take this lesson a little bit deeper. We've been talking about teachers and gurus and not putting anyone up on a pedestal, but another way to look at this and to activate this would be to think of the one teacher, guru, Christ, that you would honor the most. Maybe it's Jesus, maybe it's Yogananda, whoever it may be. Think about that person. Give them all the specialness in the universe. Elevate them to the highest degree you possibly can in your mind. And then imagine letting everyone else lift to that same level. Almost like a swimming pool that's being filled. Everyone in that pool begins to rise. See if you can let them rise all to the same level, the highest level possible, that you would put someone like Jesus or whoever it is you're holding in your mind. Whatever it takes to get you to lift everyone to the level of the Christ, to see everyone as God would see them. This is the key. This is how we begin to break free from these traps and these chains and lift into this immortality consciousness as immortality specialists. So try that if you will.